It was a thick, oppressive fog swallowing the highway as I drove the night shift. The kind that seems to have a weight of its own, as if it's alive, pressing down on everything with suffocating silence. My windshield wipers groaned uselessly, smearing the mist more than clearing it. The road ahead was nothing but a gray blur, a ribbon of nothingness. Then I saw him, a pale silhouette beside the road, unnaturally still, his eyes as dark as voids. He didn't wave, he didn't move. He simply stood there, mouth agape in a silent scream. Or perhaps a grin, I couldn't tell. It was like he'd been carved out of the night, a statue left behind by something older than time itself. He stared at me, wide-mouthed in a distortion of human anatomy, his limbs too long, head tilted just a bit too far. The kind of figure your brain doesn't register right away because it doesn't want to. Every instinct in me screamed to look away. No sound, no movement. Just that grotesque grin, frozen in the mist. A grin that somehow widened the longer I stared. My hands clenched the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I floored the pedal, raced ahead, and screamed into the CB. But no one responded. Static, silence. As if every voice on the network had been swallowed whole. I kept yelling, flipping through channels, begging for someone, anyone, to answer. When I finally found a lit-up parking lot, the fog vanished, and so did the road behind me. Gone, replaced by woods that shouldn't have been there. It was as though I'd driven out of existence and into something else, something watching. 3 days earlier, things were normal. I had just picked up a long-haul route from Denver to El Paso. It was a gig I'd done before. Easy miles, decent pay, nothing fancy. The kind of drive where you can let your mind wander and the hum of the engine lull you into rhythm. Standard freight, nothing unusual. Pallets of dry goods for a warehouse. No hazmat, no time-sensitive pressure. Just me, my truck, and the road. A straight shot south, until things started to veer off that straight line. The sun was shining, the air was crisp, and I had my thermos full of bitter black coffee. I remember humming along to the radio, my dashboard bobblehead swaying with every pothole. Life was ordinary, comfortably so. Everything was routine, until I passed through an old fuel stop just outside a ghost town called Marrow Creek. I didn't plan on stopping, just slowed down to check my brakes and maybe stretch a little. The place looked like it had been abandoned for years, yet the gas pump still worked. That was the first clue. The station looked half abandoned. One pump, flickering sign. A dusty vending machine humming like a dying fly. Even the wind felt stale there, like it hadn't moved in decades. A broken bench leaned against the wall, a shattered payphone hung by a wire. As I reached for my radio, I noticed something odd, an old photograph nailed to the post beside the pump. It wasn't just old, it was wrong. The image showed a group of truckers, but their faces were blurred like the lens had been fogged from the inside. Every detail clear, except them. It was torn and sun-bleached, showing a group of truckers in front of a rig that looked straight out of the 70s. The truck itself looked pristine, untouched by time. But something about their faces. They were smudged, blurred, like the camera had shaken. But only on them. No names, no dates. Shrugging it off, I got back in and drove on. But something gnawed at me. That image, those faces, or lack thereof, they stayed burned in my mind. That night, I began to notice things. The highway stretched too long between mile markers, as if space itself had stretched. I'd pass mile 142 and not see 143 for another half hour. Lights in my rear view blinked, then vanished. I started checking my mirrors more than the road. I heard faint CB chatter on channel 19, voices that weren't supposed to be there. Not just static, but actual words. They were whispering. One voice whispered my name, not shouted, whispered, as if it was already inside my truck. By the second night, sleep was impossible. My hands shook. My thoughts spiraled. Every time I pulled over, my truck lights would flicker. My GPS would reroute me in circles back toward Marrow Creek. I reset it, changed devices. Didn't matter. Once, while parked behind a diner, I saw a man in the distance just standing by the tree line. When I shone my high beams, he didn't flinch, just stared, motionless. The manager said no one lived within miles, said the woods were empty. I started asking questions. An older trucker named Roy at a rest stop told me to keep moving and never say the town's name over the radio. They listen on the wires, he said, half laughing, half dead serious. His eyes never blinked once during our talk. He claimed a convoy went missing in 1983 near Marrow Creek. Drivers vanished. Trucks found burned out and twisted on empty roads. No bodies, no logs, just scorched rubber and melted radios. People stopped asking questions after a while. Curiosity gnawed at me. I dug deeper. I needed to know. Late at night, I searched forums, old trucker threads, ghost stories, urban myths. I found a few buried posts mentioning something called the Hollow One, a figure that stands still in fog, always smiling, always watching. They say if you stop near him, he gets in without opening the door. That part haunted me. The idea of someone or something inside with you, and you never saw it enter. It sounded insane, but each night, my route pulled me closer to the town. I checked my logs, each destination slightly altered, each detour creeping east. I wasn't choosing the road anymore. It was choosing me. My CB sputtered more each day. Static turned into voices. One night, someone on the other end said, "You're next, Daniel." I never gave my name on the air. I shut off the radio. It kept speaking. Then came the fog. It rolled in like a wave, thick and sudden. Visibility dropped to feet. The road behind me blurred into nothing. I heard a faint hum, like static in my teeth. My headlights hit the silhouette. He was tall, taller than any man should be. Face stretched unnaturally long, mouth open too wide, eyes reflecting nothing. I froze, couldn't blink, couldn't breathe. He stepped forward, but there was no sound. The gravel didn't crunch. My engine didn't idle. Silence. Pure silence. I slammed the gas. My wheels spun, then caught. I tore through the fog, heart hammering. Voices screamed on the CB, all of them mine, every panic call I'd made over the past 2 days playing back at once. My hands trembled on the wheel. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the fog vanished. I found myself in a bright rest stop parking lot, but the highway I came from, gone. Not blocked, not detoured, just gone. Replaced with trees, as if no road ever existed. I called dispatch. No one answered. I tried my maps. It didn't recognize my location. I was in a blank zone. I tried leaving, but every route I took brought me back to the same stop, same trash can, same oil stain under the same light. The next morning, a woman knocked on my truck window, said she was from Highway Patrol, asked if I was all right. I asked where I was. She hesitated. "No one comes here anymore," she said. "Not since '83. I tried to leave that place for days. Different roads, different turns. Didn't matter. I kept returning. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. Every night he came closer. Every night I'd hear tapping on the back of my sleeper cab. Last night I saw him in my mirror, sitting in the back seat. I don't know how long I've been out here now. My phone doesn't charge. The gas gauge never moves. Time loops. The sun never rises quite the same. But I'm still driving. If you hear this story, if you pick up my signal, don't stop near Marrow Creek. Don't listen to the voices. And for the love of God, never look at the man in the fog. Because once he sees you, he never looks away. I used to believe the road was the safest place I could be. Just me, my rig, and the endless blacktop. No people, no problems. That belief shattered on a road I'd driven dozens of times without incident. That night, I wasn't just hauling freight. I was dragging something much darker behind me. It started like any other evening. Empty highway, low hum of the engine, radio static. I was somewhere near northern New Mexico, close to a stretch locals call Dead Horse Pass. Strange name, but I never gave it much thought. I pulled into a lonely truck stop for coffee and fuel. The air was cool, windless, unusually quiet for that region. Only one other truck sat idling far across the lot. I stepped inside. The place smelled of burnt coffee and old wood. A frail man behind the counter nodded at me but said nothing. I grabbed a mug, poured some stale brew, and noticed something odd. There were no other customers. No waitresses, no music. Just the steady tick of a clock on the wall, and that man's hollow stare. As I stirred sugar into the cup, he spoke without looking up. "Don't stop again tonight," I frowned. "Excuse me?" He finally met my eyes. "Keep going. Don't stop for anything until morning." I gave a nervous chuckle, thinking it was a joke, but his expression didn't change. I brushed it off. Maybe the guy was crazy. I paid, stepped out, and climbed back into my rig. But the moment I shut the door, I felt it. A weight, like something unseen had climbed in with me. I checked the mirrors. Nothing. Just that eerie stillness, and the other truck now gone. As I rolled back onto the highway, I realized the road signs had changed. The next town was missing from the usual marker. Instead it read, Jaren's Hollow, 22 miles. That town wasn't on any map I'd ever seen. The road narrowed. Fog rolled in, thick and sudden. My headlights barely cut through it. That's when I first saw the figure, just standing off to the right shoulder. Pale, long arms, no face, only a smooth surface like melted wax. I slammed the brakes, heart pounding, but when I looked back, gone. I told myself it was stress, maybe lack of sleep. I turned the radio up, hoping to drown the anxiety. That's when the voice came through. Not a song, not a station. "Why did you take this road?" The voice was gravelly, close, like someone whispering inside the cab. I spun around, empty. I killed the radio, heart thundering. For a full minute, I heard nothing but my own breath, until the truck jolted. A hard thump from the trailer behind. I pulled over, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped out. The fog was worse now, curling like fingers around my boots. I circled to the back and saw it. The door to the trailer was open. That shouldn't have been possible. I locked it before leaving the truck stop, every time. I climbed inside, calling out, "Hello?" My flashlight flickered. My cargo, wooden crates, looked untouched, but there were wet footprints on the floor. Bare, human-shaped, but too long. Almost. Stretched. Then the door slammed shut behind me. Total darkness. I pounded on the door, yelling. When it creaked open seconds later, no one was there. Just the whisper again. Closer this time. "You brought it with you." I climbed out, shaking, and sped back onto the road, eyes scanning every shadow. The fog cleared briefly, and I saw another sign. Jaren's Hollow, 11 miles. Still heading there. No exits, no turns. Just forward. The further I drove, the worse it got. I'd see the same figure on the side of the road, over and over. Always in a different pose. Sometimes closer, sometimes facing me. And the townspeople, if you could call them that, appeared in flashes. Faces in the mirrors. Pale hands pressed to the glass. I stopped trusting what I saw, or what I heard, because the whispers inside the cab became voices, conversations, arguments, in languages I couldn't recognize. I screamed at them to stop. They didn't. That's when I remembered the old mechanic from years ago, a man who once mentioned roads that remember. He said some highways keep ghosts alive, but others, they make new ones. I didn't understand back then. I do now. I passed the final sign, entering Jaren's Hollow. But there was no town, only a tunnel ahead carved into a hill, blacker than the night sky around it. I should have turned back. I should have stopped the truck. But my foot moved to the gas as if controlled by someone else. Inside the tunnel, I lost all sense of direction. The lights on my dash flickered. My headlights died. And in that suffocating dark, something crawled across the windshield. Thin limbs, too many joints, long fingers tapping the glass. Then a face, blank, smooth, faceless. Except for a mouth that began to open and open until it reached the edges of its head. I blacked out. When I came to, it was morning. Sunlight, blue sky, birds. My truck was parked neatly on the shoulder of the interstate, miles from the tunnel. Except that tunnel doesn't exist. I searched later. Locals swear there's no Jaren's Hollow, no road by that name. And when I checked my dash cam, all footage from that night was corrupted, just static. But there was one change I couldn't deny. In the glove box, wrapped in an oily cloth, was a photograph I'd never seen before. Old, faded. It showed my truck parked outside that same tunnel, and next to it stood me, smiling, hand resting on the shoulder of that faceless thing. I burned the photo. I swore I'd never take that route again. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm halfway across the country, my GPS glitches and tries to reroute me back to Jaren's Hollow. And the worst part? Sometimes I let it.